So let me get started. I had a question from last week when I was talking, and then I was talking with a manager last week. He's a sales manager, and he was talking about this ideal of climbing the ladder and trying to become better and trying to help other people become better. And what we got to talking about was really this ideal of ladder climbing versus ladder building. And so I want to share that with you real quick of what that kind of looks like for us as leaders and how we could be better ladder holders for those that are trying to build and climb. And so I want to draw a little bit on the board a little bit. I hope you can see this. I'm going to try to don't make fun of my drawings. I'm not an artist, so but we're going to try to draw a ladder here. And I want to kind of give you four ideals today to get to this ideal of really this ladder climbing versus ladder building and ladder holding. And there's really four stages I want to talk about today. And we all know that when we talk about kind of growing and going in our positions of leadership, that we definitely want to continue to grow and become better and definitely try to climb the ladder as high as we can go. There's nothing wrong with that. We need to. We need to kind of come out of the crowd, per se, because there's lots of people down here at the bottom, and they're all wanting to climb the ladder. They're all wanting to do that. But here's what I have found is that it doesn't take a whole lot to get above the crowd because this is what I call the average crowd. They're just average. And today it doesn't take a whole lot to stand above average. I always say average is just one step above suck. And so if you want to become better, sometimes there's just a few little things you have to do. I was reminded of my oldest daughter when she was getting her first job. I was telling her, I said, there's just a couple of things you can do that will really set you apart from everyone else. And I said, the first one is this. I said, come early. Always get there early. Always get there. Know when the earliest person gets there, if you can, or when they're about to open the door for the business. Always get there about 5 or 10 minutes earlier than everybody else. So if they say, "Hey, be there at 7:30," well, you're there about 7:15, 7:20. You're there waiting on them every day, not just once in a while. Every single day, you're there early. I said, while you're there, get your work done. Do it well, do it efficiently, get your work done. And if you get your work done, go around and ask other people, hey, how can I help you? What is something I can do to help you in your job, or it'll help you do something? Or hey, is there a problem that maybe I can help you solve? I mean, make yourself available. Okay. And I said, if you'll just do that many times, just make yourself available. Hey, give me more. Be a problem solver. It reminded me of a story, and I apologize. I'm going to chase a rabbit real quick, and I'll come back. And I can't remember. It was a CEO. Man, what was her name? I apologize. It's um, Tuesday morning. But anyway, she started at the bottom, and she said, all I did really to work her way up, and in fact became the CEO of this company. It's a Fortune 500 company. She said, all I did really just became a problem solver. She said, I would do my work and then I would go around and ask people, hey, how can I help you? What problems do you need? Hey, would you go get this? Yeah, I'll be more than happy to go get it. And do it with a smile and not with an attitude, but do it with a smile. She said, I always just wanted to help. I wanted to help people. I got my work done. I wanted to go help people. And she said, as managers began to notice me, she said, then they would give me more responsibility and I would do well with that. And then they would give me another responsibility and I do well with that. And she said, I just began to work my way up because I became a problem solver. Any problems that people had or a salute or a situation, they would confer with me first. And I just became the go-to person. And as I did, I just began to rise into the ranks of manager and supervisor, vice president, of course, then president and then CEO of the company. And so I told my daughter that. I said, if you'll just make yourself available and help other people, I said, you will stand above the rest. And I said, the last thing really to me is be the last one to leave. If you can be the last one to leave or one of the last ones and ask before you go, hey, is there anything I can do before I go? Okay. If you'll just do those three things, you will set yourself above average. And so you will rise above. And that's really what this ideal of ladder climbing is how high really can I go? And as I was writing some notes down, I was thinking about this author, and I want to read this to you. This author is Glenn Turner. He said, the hardest challenge of getting to the top of the ladder was getting through the crowd at the bottom. And that is hard. You know, just getting above the crowd, making your way up by just doing extra things, being what I call a problem solver. If you'll be a problem solver, help other people with problems, because we all have problems. Okay? We all have things, we all need help. And if you just make yourself available, how can I help you? You will always set yourself above average. Okay. So that's one. So I'm going to put ladder climbing. So that is one thing to do. Probably should just put climbing. The next thing to do above ladder climbing really is this idea of ladder holding. Okay, so we're going to hold ladder holding. And you said, well, what does that really mean? What does ladder holding mean? So how high will others go with a little bit of help? Now, I want you to think about that. Because if we're in a business, and definitely many of you are on and be watching this later, you're probably managers or you're some position of helping other people. And I've always said this, especially as a pastor, I want something for you more than I want something from you. I want something more for you, something that helps you become better. I want something for you in order to help you become a better person. And if we have that ideal of how can I help other people, how can I be for them? And I said this several weeks ago about this ideal of, when you're sitting down in your one-on-ones and you're doing kind of some talks and maybe some expectations and just getting to know your team. And maybe you've been around your team for a while, but maybe you haven't asked this question, or maybe you need to go back and ask this question and say, hey, what is your why? Why are you really here? What is it that you're trying to accomplish in your life? I had a good friend of mine that said, Scott, I took you up on that advice one time. And he said, I was surprised that he said, those that I was leading, they didn't really have a why. And he said, I was shocked. I was stunned. He said, I have goals and dreams and aspirations. He said, but there were a few in a particular generation that really didn't have aspirations. And he said, so I had to sit back and I had to think about what is it that you really want? If today, if money was no object, if money was no problem, what would you be doing? What would you like to do? What are things that give you passion? What are things that just drive you? And he said, man, I began to learn a lot about my team and those individuals within my team and learn really what drove them, what inspired them. And once I found out really what inspired them, he said, then I could go back and say, hey, okay, so how can I help you reach your goals and your aspirations and your dreams and really kind of push you into that area to help you become better. Excuse me. And he said, as I began to ask that question, hey, what can I do to help you to become better in those areas? He said, man, my team began to kind of rise up a little bit. He said, no longer were they just kind of, I have to do my job. I'm here just to get a paycheck. He said, it was now that we kind of set up a pathway to where they want to go. I was able to help them figure out what is it, the direction they want in their life. He said they had more inspiration. They begin to think about, hey, the direction that they're going. I always go back to the verse in Proverbs that said, without a vision, people perish. And it's true. If people don't have a direction, if people don't know where they're going, and I'm talking about our teams, if they don't, in the personal life, if they don't know exactly where and what they want out of life, they just kind of go around in circles, kind of like the children of Israel in the desert for 40 years. And we don't want that for our people. We want something more for them, because if I can help my team become better, if I can help them grow personally, if I can help them reach a goal and reach something that they're really wanting in their life, I promise you, they themselves become more inspired about being there, working and doing their job, because they know they're there trying to become better in themselves, but also trying to obtain something more later down the line. And as really, as position leaders, as owners, as general managers, sales managers, whatever the case may be, we should be our team's biggest cheerleaders. We should be helping them. We should be encouraging them. And then a talk the other day with another manager, that's exactly what we were talking about. We were talking about this ideal of compartmentalizing our personal life and compartmentalizing our work life. And I said, listen, it all goes together. I said, if we can look at as leaders, look at this as, hey, what happens in their personal life does affect their work life, and what happens in their work life does affect their personal life. It's life, okay? And if as leaders, it is our responsibility to help our teams grow. It's our responsibility to help them become better. It's our responsibility as leaders to help grow them to become better leaders. And if I'm growing them and helping them become better in their personal life, if I'm helping them become better in their relationships, in their communication, it all flows over, okay, from work to home. And I'm going to say this, from home to work. And if we can help them grow, have a personal growth, it always comes back to them becoming better at work. And therefore, if we're helping them reach their goals, I promise you, helping them have direction and where they want to go, it always comes back to the organization. It just does. And as leaders, as we're growing people, helping them become better, they want to reciprocate that and work harder so that they can reach their goals in their own personal life. And it's really kind of a, let me help you. And they're going to reciprocate, and they're going to help the organization because they are trying to reach something. So I didn't mean to get off on that tangent, but you understand when it comes to ladder holding, this whole ideal is, hey, I want something more for my people. I want something more for those that I am leading so that they become better. I want to give you a couple of things about ladder holding. I wrote this down as I was talking to this gentleman the other day, and afterwards I came back and wrote some things down. So I want to give you a couple of these things, and I wrote them down. I'm going to share this with you. Ladder holding begins with a serving attitude, okay? So if you want to talk about ladder holding begins with a serving attitude. I don't know if you can read this. I'm having a hard time writing this morning. Serving attitude. May not be able to read my writing, but that's serving attitude, okay? So this is where this idea of ladder holding begins. Ladder holding also requires, well, availability. Ability, I'll get it right. This is supposed to be an L. Ability, okay? Availability. So we got to be available, okay? We've got to be available for people. One of the things I a while back, I was talking to a man. Said, I always have my door open. Everybody's welcome. I said, do you ever go outside your door and go to your people? Or do you just wait for them to come to you? I said, one of the things to help your team know that you're available is to go to them first. As a leader, we should always do things first. We should challenge ourselves to step out of our comfort zone and go to our people first. Once we do that, and they know that the three questions we've talked about, I've told you these are the three questions that people are always asking you. And you can write this down if you haven't heard this before. But first question that your team or your individuals on the team will ask you is, hey, Scott, can you help me? Hey, Hillary, can you help me? Patrick, can you help me? Lance, can you help me? Can you help me become better? The second question is, hey, do you really care about me? Do you care about me, or you just care about me doing the job? Do you care about me as a person, or do you just care about me as a number, as an employee, just as somebody to get the job done and go on down the road? Do you care about me? Okay. And then the third question that people are always asking in the back of their head, they never come out and really ask you this, but it's always the question that's there. And that is, and it's the foundation for a relationship, is, can I trust you? Scott, can I trust you to be the person you say you're going to be? Can I trust you to put me above your own agenda? Can I trust you to have honesty, integrity, and character? Can I trust you as a person? Okay. So those are the three questions that really people are always asking us. And that's not just at work. I'll tell you, that's at home. That's with your friends. That's with customers, and that's with people out and about. That's people at church. If you really know that too. Hey, do you care about me? Can you help me? And can I trust you? Those are the three questions. And so when you make yourself available for people like that, they realize, hey, you do want to help, you do care about me, and I can trust you. Okay, so that's the second one. The third one is the ladder holding attracts. Okay, if I can spell this word right? Attracts. Attracts people who want to climb. This is interesting because we're always looking for new leaders. And I told you this a while ago about the crowd. This is the crowd. Okay, they're down here. They're the average. But there are some people that they want to separate themselves. Okay, and they're trying to climb. They're wanting to climb the ladder too. And when you're helping other people and people know that you're there for them and that you're holding the ladder for those who want to climb, it does separate those individuals who want to become better and want to better themselves and better their families. Okay. And so ladder holding does attract those who want to climb. Ladder holding also is a kind of a pre-qualifier for discovering a person's potential. I'm going to put pre-qualifier. Okay, and you say, well, Scott, what does that mean? Pre-qualifier. Well, it goes back to basically this idea of holding the ladder for people. It's who wants to climb. Okay, if I'm holding the ladder and I'm giving people opportunities to climb the ladder, Scott, how do you give opportunities for people to climb the ladder? Well, you're empowering people, you're training people, you're teaching people, you're giving them more and more responsibility to see, hey, are they wanting to go up the ladder? And as you're doing that with these individuals, you begin to find out those who actually do want more. Okay. Does it mean that, hey, I don't try those that are climbing, do I not try to work with those? No, I'm still working with people. I'm still trying to develop them. I'm still trying to train them. But what I'm doing is a lot of times is these individuals right here is I'm nurturing them. I'm giving them more opportunities to climb. And it kind of goes back to the 20-80 rule, Pareto's principle, is that we know that there's about 20% of those that you're working with that they are your top leaders. Okay. Those are the individuals that I'm going to spend a little more time with in my training time, because those are the ones that, hey, they're really wanting to achieve. Doesn't mean I ignore them. Doesn't mean that I ignore the crowd at the bottom. I still want to help them. I still want to give them what they need at that time. But those who are ready to go, I really want to give them a little more help. I want to kind of help nurture them a little bit more, train them a little bit more, develop them a little bit more. But what I can find is that I'm holding the ladder, it is a pre-qualifier to find and identify my new leaders, those that I want to spend the 80% of my training time with, because they become the top 20%. And then lastly, ladder holding also over time multiplies effectiveness. When you say, Scott, how does it multiply effectiveness if I'm holding the ladder? What does that truly mean? Well, it means that basically, as I am as a leader helping to hold, if I am developing these individuals climbing the ladder, what does that do for me? Well, it takes a few things off of my plate, because now I'm helping them grow, and they can take a few things off me, because I can say, hey, listen, I'm going to empower you in this area. Would you do this for me? What does that do? Now I'm multiplying my effectiveness. Okay. Well, what I can give to them to do, I can also then use that time to do some other things that would help multiply my effectiveness in another area of business, as a small business owner, as a manager, general manager, whatever the case may be. It helps multiply my effectiveness in that area. And so that's this ideal of helping to have ladder climbers as well as ladder holders. There's two other ones I want to give. Before I do, I wrote a quote down by Andrew Carnegie. It says this. It said, it marks a big step in your development when you come to realize that other people can help you do a better job than you can do alone. And that is true. When you yourself are helping other people and you realize, hey, I want to develop people, because number one, we need help as leaders. It empowers them. I want something for them, not just something from them. Okay. I want something more for them. And as I do, it multiplies my effectiveness. And I realize, hey, I'm not a Lone Ranger. Okay. There's the myth out there called the Lone Ranger myth. But you and I both know Lone Ranger wasn't alone. He had Tonto, he had Silver. And you look at anybody who has been successful in life, okay, they didn't do it alone. They had a team, they had people around them. And so when we're talking about, having ladder climbers and ladder holding, we have to realize that it's the team that helps us to accomplish the goals, for us ourselves to become successful, for the organization to become successful. We need people around us. And so let me give you the third ideal when it comes to ladder climbing versus ladder holding, ladder building, is this ladder extending. Ladder extending. Okay, I want to extend the ladder for people. And here's the key. I want to give you a couple of words when it comes to how we can help other people and extend the ladder for them. Number one, we have to be intentional. Okay. I've said this word many times. We have to be intentional, and we have to be strategic when it comes to how do we extend the ladder for people. All of us, where we are in the position that we're in, is because people have held the ladder for us, and actually have extended the ladder. You and I, we're actually standing on the shoulders of giants. We're standing on the shoulders of those people who have gone before us. We're standing on the shoulders of those individuals who have given us their time, given us their knowledge and their wisdom. And you and I have benefited from people. I think about this as we talked about Memorial Day yesterday. We have the freedoms because other people have given so much. They've given the ultimate sacrifice of their life so that we can have the freedoms. Well, you and I, because of the positions we're in and because where we are, people have given so much to us to be able to stand on their shoulders so that we ourselves can do the very same thing for other people. That's what it's all about. It's about continuing to help other people and extending the ladder for other people. I want to say this. One thing that you and I can do to help extend the ladder for other people, of course, is to spend time with them, right? I told you a while ago about the Pareto's principle, the 20-80 rule. For you and I as leaders, it is our responsibility to find individuals who want to climb the ladder and invest our time and then mentor them to become better, developing those leaders around you. I've done a mastermind group called Developing the Leaders Around You. And this is the premise and the whole idea of, hey, finding those leaders, finding those individuals who really want to become better, who really want to, quote unquote, climb the ladder, hold the ladder, extend the ladders for others, but to grow and to help themselves become better. And it is our responsibility to develop those leaders around us. Why? Because as leaders, that is our responsibility. That's what we're called to do. And so I want to give you a couple of criteria when it looks at when we look at this idea of how do we extend the ladder of people. It's about mentoring them. It's about spending time with them. There's areas in business, and you guys have done this before, and you know this, is that when you find people that are ready to grow, ready to become better, you want them to shadow you. First off, you got to find them. Second one, you want them to shadow you. You want them to hey, just come along, just follow me, watch what I do. Okay, when they watch what you do and they begin to ask questions and you're beginning to pour into them and you're beginning to invest in them and you're beginning to help them, they're beginning to grow and grasp what you're trying to accomplish, and they themselves have this urge to learn and this wanting to know more, so that they themselves become better. Then you say, okay, I'm gonna kind of back up. I'm gonna watch you now. Now you do what I've done, and I want to watch you, and I want to coach you through that. That's kind of the mentoring process, and that's what really the ideal of is how do we extend the ladder? Is we want to take some time to mentor these individuals who really are kind of above the average crowd. We want to mentor them. We want to give them really our wisdom, our knowledge, helping them grow to become, well, better people, not just better employees, but better people overall. And there's a couple of qualifications, I call it criteria, really to become a good mentor. And one of these ideals is finding people and ourselves is being successful in what we do. And that has to be a criteria for looking for mentors in your life. And let me say this. For my life in the past and people that have poured into me and my mentors, I don't just have one mentor. I've had lots of mentors in my life, but all of them have been successful in a particular area. Okay. And so when you're looking at helping individuals, okay, number one, you want to help them in an area. You have to look at, okay, where am I successful? Because you're in a position, you have some form of success. Okay. And so you have some authority and some credibility because of your success. Where you are. And so that is a criteria of being successful. The next one is being a specialist, specializing in a particular area, specializing in what you do. And that may be sales. It may be, in developing a particular area in work, what you do. You want to help specialize in that area. Third one is really being mature. How am I mature in these areas? Okay, and that's what we want as a mentor, looking towards a mentor. But we ourselves, if we're going to mentor our mentees, then we want to make sure that, hey, we're successful, we have a specialty that we want to pass along to them, that we're mature in those areas, and also that we're very good about asking great questions. Okay, one of the mentors that I had, man, he was very good about asking great questions. He would always ask the tough questions, those questions that I didn't want to face, to try to help spur on more opportunities to grow. And that's what those questions are really about, is asking great questions to your team to help them grow. Deep-rooted questions. One of his questions, his favorite question, was really, why? we'd be talking about something, and he'd ask, well, why is that, Scott? And I'd give an answer, and he'd say, well, why is that? And I'd have to dig a little deeper. And then he would say, why do you feel that way? Oh man, that was tough. Always trying to come up with this answer of why. And it always goes down to the root of the problem, or root of fear, or root of basically not wanting to do something, maybe procrastination, or a root. I mean, it always drove down that question of why. Was a great question to bring out information out of me. And so I've used that a lot, even in my coaching and mentoring people as well. And then the last one is just this idea of being humble. Okay, as mentors, we want to be humble. We want to say, hey, look how much knowledge I have and how wise I am. And no. And that's what we don't want to come across as prideful to those that we're trying to lead. Again, we always want to have this idea of, I want a servant. I want to be a servant to you. I want to help you. I want to grow you. I want you to become better. And I'm here to do just that in other areas. And so we're talking about ladder climbing. We've talked about ladder holding. We've talked about ladder extending. And I guess the last one really is this idea of ladder building. Building ladders for people. Because ladder building is really all about really giving permission for our team, giving permission for them to grow, giving them the equipment, empowering them, helping them climb the ladder, and giving them the knowledge that we have to become better, really than ourselves. Okay. And I know a lot of managers that I've talked with, a lot of people say, well, Scott, if I give them all the information I have, everything I know, then what if they become better than me? We should applaud that. We should celebrate that, because, it's not the ideal of a scarcity mindset. I think that's the difference. Many times what I've seen, that people have a scarcity mindset. If I give everything to someone, then I'm left with nothing. And if I'm working for an organization, then I'm going to be passed over for a position. And I thought to myself, I said, that really is a scarcity mindset, because here's the thing that I have seen in businesses. The more I give, okay, it's the old adage of sowing and reaping. And Jesus talked about this many times in many parables. But the idea of sowing, the more I sow into people, okay, I also reap. I do. I know that because, number one, it's a principle. If you want to call it a law, I think it's a law. And it's a law that God set in place. The more I sow into people, the more I'm going to reap from other people. And it may not be from the same field that I sow in. It may be in a different field. I had a good friend of mine. He worked for this particular organization. It was probably a small to medium-sized organization. And he began to sow into these individuals. I mean, this is what he believed in. He would tell people, and he would share with people, and he would actually make extra time available before work to share just some things that he was mentoring, is what he was doing, with some young individuals. And he had one particular guy that, man, he just soaked it up, and he really was hungry to learn. And he would read, and he would go back and ask questions to my friend, and my friend would give more information. And what happened is that, of course, yes, the organization noticed the growth of this young man, and he began to rise up in the ranks. And in fact, he actually did go above his own boss, which was like, wow, what just happened, And I asked my friend, I said, how does that make you feel? He said, honestly, it made me feel great. It made me feel good that he actually rose above me, and he became, above what I was really accomplishing in my own life. But here was the turning point. There was another organization, and they were looking for a particular leader, a particular person to fill a spot, and it was a larger business. And my friend wasn't looking for another job, because he'd been there for several years. But he was approached by this company because they saw the growth of this other organization and pinpointed it down to, where did this come from? How did this, what was going on? And they found out through asking other people who this guy was. And of course, he was known. And man, they offered him it was 2 times the amount of salary that he had already, plus other bonuses and options and things of that nature. And it was a great opportunity because it put him in a leadership position that what he could do is, again, pour out his knowledge to other people. And he took the position as an opportunity to help pour in. And man, he's doing phenomenal. And so, it wasn't about the money. It really wasn't about the money, but he was rewarded for doing just what he really knew as a leader he should be doing, and that is pouring into his team. And man, it turned out great for him. He's doing phenomenal now, and he loves what he's doing, helping other people, answering those three questions that we talked about, and building ladders for other people, because that's really what it's about. It's about trying to help other people. And so my question really we have to look at is who do you need really to build a ladder for? Who do you need to help build ladders for those in your team, and identify those individuals here that are really looking at climbing that ladder, and realize that, hey, that there is a 20-80 rule, or if you want to talk about 80-20 rule, of basically my top 20% of individuals that man, they want to grow, they want to become better, and that's where I need to spend 80% of my time as far as training time. And I say a lot of time I'll say time, and people go, I don't have 80%. Well, I'm talking about training time. I'm talking about that opportunity that you spend with training and developing people. I want to spend most of my time with those top 20%, because those are the ones that really want to go. Am I ignoring the other 80%? No, 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 no. I'm still going to nurture them. I'm still going to give them opportunities to grow. But I also understand that for me as a leader, I want to help propel those individuals that are ready to grow. They have the skills, they're capable, they have the drive, the inspiration, and they're ready to grow. I want to help them go, because when I do that, guess what happens to this other side over here? They begin to see, hey, man, they're growing, they're becoming better. What are they doing? And now they want to be a part of that top 20%. And so it just kind of spurs people on, and helps your organization grow. So I hope talking about that today kind of gave you some insight, gave you some thoughts, and maybe encourage you a little bit about what you're doing and what you can do with your team. So you guys have any questions? I'm going to open up the lines for you guys. Just pop on. All you got to do is unmute yourself if you have questions, or you have thoughts today. If there's a comment you want to make, feel free to. I'm going to take a drink of water. My mouth is dry.
First time here, Scott, and I
Yes.
appreciate it. Wonderful, wonderful information, and I appreciate it so much.
Oh man, definitely, bro. Thank you so much for being on today. I appreciate that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Anyone?
Scott,
Yeah.
as always, that's impressive and just what I needed to hear. So thanks.
Oh man, that's great to hear. I appreciate that, Patrick. Thank you, guys. Thank you all for being on. Appreciate it.